I've had some students ask me about the grade program. They're having trouble putting together, trying to figure out how the pieces go together. So I brought up your admissions program here, which is the one you were supposed to do before it. And you'll see that we have three variables here. The first one is your counter for how many tickets you sold. The second one is your total sales. And the third one is the ticket price. So as we move down to the part below, you're going to notice that you have the ticket price down here. It's the same for each one, and they just keep reusing it, which is fine. And then you have total sales plus equals ticket price. Just so you know, that means total sales equals total sales plus ticket price. And Java reads from right to left, so we'll take care of this first and then reset this variable total sales to whatever the value of this is. Even though total sales is in that question, it will still do the math first and then reset that value. And then you have your counter equaling set going up each time. And if you aren't aware of this, this is also a shortcut, and the shortcut just actually means counter equals counter plus 1. And again, reading left to right, we're going to take the value of counter. In the first one, it's 0. We're going to add 1 to it, and then reset counter to equal 1. So in your grades program, it's very similar to your admissions program. So to begin with, I'm actually just going to copy this information and put it in. And I'm going to reset counter to number of tests. I'm going to reset total ticket sales to test grades. Actually, test grade. And this is test grades. And then the final one is going to be total points. So total test points. Now, whenever you do a grade, you actually need to find the average of those grades. That's how your grades are calculated. You take a whole bunch of tests, homework, whatever, add them all together, and divide by that number of assignments. If there's some that are more than others, you have to adjust for that. But in this case, we're just doing tests, and they're all the same value. But we need to have an average of those values. So this is the average grade. Now that we have all of those pieces, we need to put these pieces together. So we're going to do that in the calculations. Calculations. All right, so in the calculations piece, we need to first set what the first test grade is, and they had said it was 97. In the second part, we need to set up how many tests have occurred, and we're going to use the shortcut, which again means num test equals num test plus 1. So this is the first test. So now we also need to do total points. And in this particular case, we're going to have total points plus equals test grade. So one last time, this means total points equals total points plus test grade. So now in order to figure out the average, we want to have the total points divided by the number of tests. Well, anything divided by 1 in this case is going to be it, but I'm trying to set up these calculations now so I can copy and paste later. So now we want to send this information to the user, because I compile this, and right now it can't find symbol average, probably because I need to spell it right up top. All right, so I compile this, and there's no errors, but when I run it, we're not telling the user to do anything. So nothing happens. So this is where it comes for some of the you guys had questions about how do I show the user this, what are the inputs, how do I do the strings. So in this particular case, we're going to output to user. And we need a whole bunch of system.out.prints and print lines. So to begin with, we're going to say test number 1. And I'm going to have an error because I forgot my quotes. So I'm actually going to copy this, paste it below, and just rewrite in this now. So our first thing is going to be setting up the new test. So 1, 2, new test grade. Put in a semicolon and a space because we need to make sure we have that space. So this is where I'm actually going to concatenate. So it's a plus sign in a string literal, and concatenate means I'm going to take this piece of information here and add it to something else. And in this case, we're going to add it to a variable, so it will actually print out what that variable is. So test grade should print out test grade. So I know I need to do more, but I'm just going to check this to make sure everything's okay. So compiled fine, I run it. So right now I have test number 1, new test grade 97.0. So that is what I have going on right now for that. And now I need my second piece of information. So in my second piece of information, I want to talk about the total points that this person currently has. So total points earned. I cannot spell today. So just like before, I'm going to put a space in, because if I don't, there won't be a space between my variable and the string literal I have there. And my total points is written right there. So again, I'm going to compile it. I'm going to move this over here so it's easier to see. And then I'm going to run it, and now I should have 3 pieces of information. 1, 2, 3. All of them printed out. So I need to put in the next piece of information, which is going to be my average score. So now most of this is going to seem like, oh, okay, this is all pretty easy because it's all the listed information we have because we haven't done anything with it yet. I'm also going to put a system.out.print on the bottom that is empty because I want to be able to have a space between the information I have above and the information down below. So when I compile this, I have no errors, and when I run it, it gives me my first test, new test grade, total points earned, average. So now this is the part where you are going to grab all of this. Actually, I don't like that. It says calculation, and I want to say of test number 1. So now I can copy this, bring it down 2 places, enter this in, and now I'm going to say test 2. And if I remember correctly, they said test 2 score was 79. So I'm just going to change one number, 79, and I'm going to change one string literal to 2, and then this should actually print out the next test score for me. So I have my test 1, test 2, 97, 97, 97, 97. Full points now are 176, and it does the calculations for you by giving you an 88% average. This is how you are going to work the problem. You're going to do this several times, if I remember correctly 5 times, because you have to put in a couple of your own. And that's what you need to do to have the string inputs concatenated with the variables. Let me know if you have any questions.